So normally what people have issues with when it comes to running metallic thread is you get a lot of shredding, a lot of bunching, basically everything that you have with normal thread, but more. And most of that has to deal with your tensions. I have found that having extremely loose upper tension and extremely loose middle tension and keeping your bobbin about the same usually takes care of most of the issues that everybody has. And I'll kind of show you on this. I've already set it up, so we're going to hit start. Let's bring you guys in a little bit. So right now the A is running fine. So let's go ahead, and what I'm going to do is show you. I'm going to tighten the tension up here all the way down, and then we're going to run into issues. Or not. It's not doing it. But for the most part, it should be just like normal sewing. You may notice that your needles are definitely going to wear out faster. So your needles are going to wear out faster. Let me think. It's not a bad idea to oil your machine more often when you're doing metallic thread. It's not metallic thread because it's shiny. It's metallic thread because there's actually metallic thread in there. It's a metallic component that makes it that silvery shiny. And there's also a polyester kind of like elastic band thing in there. I don't know if you've ever held up a piece of metallic thread and it kind of gets stretchy. And that's kind of why having the tensions looser, even though I tightened mine all the way down and I didn't have an issue. But ideally you want them fairly loose because, as you'll notice, it doesn't really tension as much, or it tensions more than normal thread. Questions? Anything on metallic thread? Here we go. How much do I loosen the thread, or the tension? So what I normally do, did I turn this? Okay. Is I will loosen up the knob. Let's see if it can focus. There it goes. I'll tension that knob, both of them, until they're pretty much all the way off. You want the thread tension to feel just about the same as it does on all the other ones. We have another question about, do we adjust the density? I don't typically adjust the density. I normally leave it at about 5 in the Sierra software. Whatever you normally would sew that in on regular thread, I would keep it the same. Now, that's with most metallics. There may be some metallics that are slightly thinner, so you're going to have to increase the density just a little bit, but not a whole lot. Oh, did that answer your question a little bit? Okay. You also, on the digitizing aspect of it, you may notice that because metallic thread is a little bit stretchier, you might want to increase your pull compensation for about 5% or 5 points. Depends on what software you're using. But it really depends. You're going to have to sew it out once to see how it looks on backing or something like that. And if you like the way that it looks, go for it. Hopefully, I mean, most of the time it'll look fine. But if you notice the stitches are too close together, you might want to increase your pull compensation a little bit, or if it's not getting a complete fill or it's not looking very good, increase your density just a little bit, and then you should be good. And once you get the hang of it, you'll normally get used to it. So we have a question that says, some people say to put the spool horizontally and using the Coleman Royal polyester line, is that necessary? I have never noticed a difference. It really depends on your shop setup. Right now I ran it just like a normal thread. The problem with putting it sideways is now your thread has to overcome more, I guess, friction in order to pull it off. I've also heard of people putting this cone on the floor. I don't know why that would be a good idea. The thread has to go further and more risk of things breaking it. And I don't understand why people do that. Just use it like a normal one and you should be fine. We have another question that says, I'm struggling with 1/4 inch high by 2 inch script. Can metallic be used on script? Yes, it can. It really depends on how thin it is. But other than that, it should just work just like normal thread. You may notice, like I was saying before, on the pull compensation, if it's a really thin scroll type script, you might want to increase the pull compensation just a little bit. But other than that, you should be fine. I know a lot of people, whenever they go onto the online forums, they're like, oh, I've heard all these crazy things that you have to do to get metallics to work. And some of it may be true, but most of the time it runs just like a normal thread. The only things you have to change is you loosen your tension a lot, and you might have to change the density or the pull compensation, but not a whole lot. We're talking just a couple points. So not quite related to running metallic thread, but it's in the same time frame, same realm. We have somebody that says they're finding a lot of pieces of thread in the trimmer is way more than normal. Is there something that's causing this? Oh, there's metallic. Okay, so it's specifically metallic thread in the trimmer. It's most likely just because it is metallic thread. I have noticed that due to the nature and the composition of the metallic thread, it'll pull more down underneath when it's doing the trim. And it's something that you just need to keep an eye on. It's something I don't normally think about because whenever I run a machine or I know I'm going to be running a machine every day, I'll take off the needle plate and I'll clean out underneath it before I oil. And I guess I should ask how much more than normal? Like, is it 6 times as much? Is it 15 times as, like, how much more are we talking? Because there might be something else going on there. Okay. So it's okay. Usually somewhere shop and basis. Okay, so normally whenever they have a large job, they only find a few pieces, and when they do just a couple of test sews, they find 10 pieces at least. That's not entirely uncommon. The just the general nature of the metallic thread, it's got, as weird as it sounds, it's got a little bit of a static charge to it. And when you normally do a trim, I don't know if you'll notice, but underneath, should have done that proper. But down here, you'll notice that regular thread underneath where your bobbin is, you'll notice the normal thread will build up. But because it's metallic, it's got a little bit of a static charge. It's also a little bit thicker. It's going to not quite get past the, there's a little lip underneath it that it has to get over. So something you can do is just blow it out with some canned air without taking off the needle plate, and that should make them fall down and get to where they need to go. So, you know, using metallic for the first time, very frustrated. Definitely, it's not like normal thread, even though it's simple to run once you know what to do. As I said before, the number one thing that you can do to make it easier is first make sure your thread rack's raised. You wouldn't believe how many people we get calling in saying that that's the case. But making sure that your tension for your metallic is extremely loose. Like right here, I'm going to remove the knob completely, and I'm just going to put it on about 2 turns, just so that it stays on there. That's how much less tension we're talking. Not a problem. Thank you. Pretty sure that'll take care of the issue. Any other questions? It's going to be the shortest webinar ever. Okay, so we have somebody that, well, I'll send you off the link once we get it up. If I don't, it will show up on the ColDesi Coleman webinars page. I think it's just ColDesi webinars page, and you'll be able to watch it there. But if not, once I get this sent off to Mark Stevenson, the marketing guy, he'll take care of everything, and we'll go from there. Any other questions? Somebody popped in and then left. So somebody just asked, do you use a metallic needle? The metallic needle? What I believe you're asking is the titanium needle. Is that what you mean? Oh, I forgot they came out with those. It's not a bad idea. So what she's referring to is, I didn't know these existed, but now that she brings it up, I do remember Coleman and Company mentioning something about it. There is a specific needle that you can buy that has a larger eye that's just for metallic thread. I've never used them, so I don't necessarily say. It's not going to hurt anything to try them out, though. The one issue that you might run into if you're using those is you won't be able to use them on hats at all, because the walls of the eye are a little bit thinner, and so the tip of the needle is going to be especially prone to breakage. That brings up another question. If you notice that it's having a lot of issues with it, instead of getting those other needles, what you can go get is it's dry silicone spray. I think WD-40 makes one. It's in a silver can with a yellow top. And there's also this stuff that's called Lock Lube, that it's also a dry silicone spray. And you can get it at any hardware store, or your locksmith might have it too, but it's going to be a lot cheaper at a hardware store. And all you do with that is you just spray on the needles, and it'll help the thread slide through there and not get caught on the lip of the eye. Hope that answered your question. Okay. Oh, we're getting too many questions. Anything else vaguely related to running metallic on your machine? So the question is, do you slow down the machine to run metallic? I don't think I've ever slowed it down. I normally run my machine slower anyway. What I just sewed out here, which did really, really well, I did that at 700. I don't see a reason why you would need to slow it down any more than that. It really depends on your metallic thread that you're using. So if you're using a heavier or more metallic-y metallic thread, you might want to. But I don't see any reason why you would have to slow it down. Unless you were sewing on something like a bag or a shoe or a non-normal type fabric. So shoes, hats, boots, something along those lines. But in those cases, you're already going to be slowing down the machine to run those. So we have a question of, can running a design slow cause any looping or other issues? Actually, yes, you can. If you run your machine at, I don't remember exactly how slow these machines go, but in my previous job, if you were to run a machine below 450 or 500, so 400, you actually, the thread has too much time to do what it needs to do, so by the time that the hook comes around to grab the thread, it's already out of the way. And so it's going to pull it up and it's going to create a loop on the top. Sounds kind of counterintuitive, but actually running your machine slower may not fix the issue if you're having looping. Now, if you're having issues running it fast, then that's a whole nother issue. But common things that cause looping other than speed, which is most likely going to cause it, is going to be your tension is too loose. Which I know I said to loosen the tension, but you can tighten it up a little bit. But ideally, if you're getting a lot of looping and other issues, so say you're getting looping. Looping is normally caused by loose tension. If you're getting a lot of shredding, shredding is normally caused by the tension being too tight. Now I say normally because I'd say about, you know, there's that 25% chance that it's actually the opposite, but, you know, most of the time it's going to be, if you're having looping, it's too loose. If it's, or it's, yeah, it's too loose. So you need to tighten it up a little bit. The upper tension, not the bobbin. Sorry, I guess I should have clarified that. So if you're having looping on the top, it's most likely your tension up here is too loose. Or if you are having, you know, shredding, it's most likely your upper tension is too tight. So you need to loosen it. Not a problem. And if you do have any issues running metallic thread, you know, if you know where to go on our the support.coldesi.com. I'm not 100% if we have any videos on how basically what I'm covering now, but you're able to put in a support ticket. Maybe there's more going on and we have to diagnose it a little bit further. But you know, loosening your tension, using that silicone spray, possibly using that other needle, and if you need to change the density of your design, but most of the time you don't. So anything else? Oh, so you're new to the business. Specifically with metallic threads, are you having an issue, or is it all of them, all of the colors? Okay. So a good thing to keep in mind when it comes to running, especially when you get into metallic and you're having issue. If your machine was having issues on normal thread, it's going to have issues on metallic. Now, if you're not having issues on normal thread and you only have issues on metallic, it's most likely your tensions, as I've said before. Also, another thing that might help is taking your spool. I'll actually bring in the camera to show you. Whoop. Is when your spools are on your machine, I don't recommend having them in these first slots. I recommend having them either in the back ones or in the middle ones, but most likely you're going to get your best result out of the ones in the back, because as the thread comes up, it's going to have more time to actually, I guess, pull straight. When it pulls from here, it's not going to have enough time, and you're going to see it kind of spiral and loop and get bunched up on itself. Another thing that also helps is to kind of get some of the thread off of the cone like that, because metallic thread sticks to itself a lot more than normal thread. Ooh. I think that's everything. I think that's everything that I know. Possibly. So no more questions? It's going to be like the quickest webinar ever. Now you guys are just standing there staring at me. It's kind of, I don't. Okay. What about everybody else? We got one person that says they think they're good to go. Okay. Well, it was fun. Look for this video on the ColDesi webinars page in a couple of days or weeks. I'm not the one that does it. And we'll go from there. Y'all have a good day.